Good morning, Standard Sevens. Once again, I'm before you with the third chapter of history, that is the Turkish invasion. In this, I will mention you about the Turkish invasion, about the Muhammad of Ghori and Muhammad of Ghajni, and we will inspect the reasons behind their success in India. Now, in my last conversation, already I have mentioned you about the rise of new religion and how this religion played a prominent role in the unification of the different tribes who were living in the Arab desert land, and that unification led to the rise of a powerful nation and kingdom which expanded. These tribes were expanded their control and rule over the different nook and corner of the world, and they expanded this expansion process. Even it had led to various changes even in the Indian subcontinent. Okay, so now in this chapter already we have seen Muhammad bin Qasim. You remember Muhammad bin Qasim? He was an Arab general who conquered Sindh in 712th century, and he actually defeated Raja Dahir Sain, who was the ruler of Sindh. Although this Sindh did not remain for a long time under his control, because after his death it was again checked, the advancement was again checked by the Rajput rulers. Now, if you look into the life of the Turks, who were the Turks? The Turks were actually the warrior tribes who were living in Central Asia, and because of their strength and efficiency and skills, they were recruited in the Caliphate army, and they rose very quickly to power, and even they were successful in establishing their own powerful and independent states like Ghajni and Ghori in Central Asia. See, in 12th and 11th centuries, you will see these Turkish invasions on India, and not only invasions but also establishment led by them, a foundation of a new dynasty led by them in India. So, what was the scenario in India, and how the scenario in India attracted these foreign invasions and paved their way for their establishment, for the establishment of their kingdom in India? See, if you see the political scenario, it was not very good because the rulers were busy in fighting among themselves, and the Rajput rulers, who were very efficient and strong in the northern part of India, they don't have unity among themselves. They were also fighting with each other, and this lack of unity was the biggest reason behind the success of the Turkish invasions, and as well as behind the attraction of Turks towards India. So, the year 1000th century, you will see the series of invasions made by these Muslim rulers over India. Come to Muhammad of Ghajni. See, Muhammad of Ghajni, he was the ruler of Ghajni, and he succeeded his father Sabgutti, who was a noble Turkish nobleman. This man, he was very powerful, efficient, and outstanding ruler who had a dream to establish a powerful and vast kingdom in Central Asia. But Ghajni was a small kingdom at that time, and for building a vast empire, resources are required. So, for resources, he started looking towards India because he had already having the information that India was having enormous wealth in its temples. So, he was attracted towards India for the enormous wealth which was required to build the vast and magnificent empire. He not only attacked and plundered the different temple cities and destroyed the temples, but also he plundered and destroyed the trading routes of Multan and Siastan. From 1000 century to 1025 century, you will see that he invaded India for 17 times, and finally in 1025 century he invaded the Somnath, the famous Somnath temple of India. He first of all attacked Jaipal, who was ruling in this area of from Punjab to Afghanistan, and he defeated Jaipal in 1001 century. Although he was again resisted by his son Anandapal. Anandapal was the son of Jaipal. He built a combined army along with the other princes as well as the ruler of Multan. They resisted this foreign invasion made by Muhammad Ghajni, But as I have mentioned to you, he was having a very strong army, as well as he was very efficient and an outstanding ruler. He defeated these combined forces and finally captured this area in 1008 century. So after defeating the Hindu Sahi ruler Chaipal, he started attacking the different temple cities of India, especially of North India, like your Nagarkot, Kangra, Mathura, and others. See, I want to mention you, give a brief information about the temple cities. See, these temple towns were having enormous wealth, no doubt, and it was not only known in India but also in around the world. And it was India's economic position was very strong during this time. You will see that because of its wealth only, he was attracted towards India. And the wealth in these temples, even today also you will see, even the Shirdi temple, the South Indian temples, many of the South Indian temples, they are receiving a lot of donations. They are the richest temples and having a lot of wealth. So during those days also, they were the centers of learning. They were receiving the donations made by the different sections of the society. And the temples of the different parts of India, they were having rich and enormous wealth in the form of precious stones, gold, silvers, jewelries. So because of all these reasons, he started plundering the temple cities of India. But the most vital invasion of Muhammad was the raid of Somnath temple in 1025 century. It was the worst attack because in this attack not only 50,000 soldiers were killed, the war was fought between the people and the Muhammad of Ghazni for 3 days. And he completely destroyed the Somnath temple, took the huge amount of jewelries, of gold and silver, as well as precious stones. Even he did not spare the gate of the temple. He took the beautiful gate to decorate his own city of Kutch. In the history of India, he is regarded as the idol breaker because he not only plundered the temples but also he broke the different idols present in the temples. Although it is the dark phases of the Muhammad of Ghazni we are discussing, but apart from it, you will see he was also a patron of learning. He encouraged learning. He even encouraged learning by recruiting and by giving donations to the different scholars and authors like Al-Bruni, who was a Persian historian, and Firdosi, who was a famous Persian poet and author who wrote Sahnama. See, Muhammad of Ghazni, he was a foreign invader who was interested in the wealth of India, but he was never having intention to establish his control over India or to let the foundation of his empire in India. Okay, so after plundering, taking away the wealth, he established his kingdom. Although after his death, you will see there was a fight among the successors, and there were continuous wars in Central Asia. So ultimately, India was spared for certain time from these foreign invasions, especially by the Central Asia. And but the annexation of Punjab paved the way for further invasions of the foreign attackers. The reason, see, the success of Muhammad of Ghazni opened the weakness present in India. See, the India was very weak country, especially in terms of especially there was a lack of unity among the people, among the rulers, and this was the major reason why this foreign attacker or invaders were successful. And it is a well-known fact in history. If you will see different foreign invaders, whether it was your Muslim rulers or your British rulers, they were successful in India because of the lack of unity, and this is the reason behind their success in India. Now let's move to Muhammad Ghori. See, Muhammad Ghori, he was the ruler of Ghor, a small kingdom in Central Asia. Although after having failure to establish his own large empire in Central Asia, he moved towards eastward, that is towards India, and he should be given the credit. He is having the credit to establish the Muslim Empire in India. Muhammad Ghori led the foundation of the slave dynasty, which ruled for 300 years in India. Thus, by the end of the 12th century, he attacked India. So he attacked India not for the wealth but to extend his own army. And first of all, he captured Multan in 1175 century. After this, he captured Sindh, Peshawar, Kot, and Punjab. So he especially first of all took his expedition towards the northwestern part of India. Although he had to establish he had a dream to establish his kingdom, to extend his empire, and for this he attacked in 1191 century on the northern part of India. Although he was defeated by the ruler of Ajmer and Delhi, that is your Prithviraj Chauhan, who was a famous Rajput ruler of this part. This first battle of Taran was fought between Muhammad of Ghori and Prithviraj Chauhan, although this battle was won by Prithviraj Chauhan. Now again in 1192, you will see the second battle of Taran was fought between the two parties. Although in this second battle of Taran, Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated by Muhammad of Ghori, and the major reason behind this defeat was again the lack of unity, because Prithviraj Chauhan, when he started building the combined forces against Muhammad of Ghori, the most powerful ruler of the northern part of India, that is Raja Jayachandra, who was a ruler of Kannauj, he refused to help Prithviraj Chauhan, and it proved very advantageous for Muhammad Ghori because he was successful in defeating Prithviraj Chauhan. And the defeat of Prithviraj Chauhan finally led the collapse of the Rajput rulers in the northern India. And in 1194, again he attacked Kannauj and defeated Raja Jayachandra. So finally, he started establishing his empires, he started capturing India, and especially the defeat of Rajput rulers now made the work very easy, because the rulers were not very strong and efficient, especially in the different parts of the country. The Rajput rulers who were strong and efficient, they lacked unity. So finally it paved the way for the Turkish success in India. So all those territories which were acquired and annexed by him became the part of his province, and he appointed his general Qutbuddin Aibak in India and moved again to his city Gaur. Qutbuddin Aibak, like his master, he was also very efficient and powerful general, although he was a slave who was bought by by Muhammad Ghori, and he further annexed the different parts of India like your Malwa area, Mathura, Gwalior, and Bundelkhand. Again, the further, if we will see the other important general like your Muhammad bin Bakhtiar Khilji, who was also a very strong and efficient general of Muhammad Ghori, he was able to throw the Sena dynasty of Bengal and Bihar and establish the rule of Muhammad Ghori in Bengal and Bihar. Although after the murder of Muhammad of Ghori in 1206 century, Qutbuddin Aibak became the ruler of India, because after the death of Muhammad of Ghori, he led the foundation of slave dynasty. And why this dynasty is known as slave? Because you know that Qutbuddin Aibak was a slave of Muhammad of Ghori. So he led the foundation of a new dynasty. He started Muslim empire in India, who ruled from 1206 century to 1296 century, and he established his kingdom especially in northern India as well as your adjoining parts of northern India like your Bihar and Bengal. See, now let's come to the different reasons behind the success of Turkish invasions in India. If you will see and compare the Rajput rulers with the these Turkish invaders, you will see that there was not a very much difference, because both were very efficient, strong, and powerful. Then where is the fault? Where the fault lies? The fault lies actually, as I have mentioned you, there was a lack of unity, and this lack of unity among the Indian Rajput rulers, who were very strong and efficient and capable in the northern part of India, these paved the way for the success of the Turk rulers. Because they were busy in fighting with each other, they could not, if jointly they had fought war against these Turkish invasions, it might, the history might be very different today. But it was not like that. You have seen how Jayachandra refused to help Prithviraj Chauhan, because of which he was not able to win the second war of Tehran, a second battle of Tehran, that is in 1192. And finally, this loss of war, finally, this defeat of Prithviraj Chauhan led the foundation of Turkish invasion in India. If you compare the Rajput army as with the Muslim army, you will see that the Rajput army was not such an efficient army with in comparison of the Muslim army. The Muslim army were moving on horses, while the Rajput army were moving on elephants. Elephant is a slow animal, so in comparative study of army, you will see that there is a big fault which lies in the army. The Rajput rulers were not able to have a updated army, which was also one of the reason behind their defeat. Now, feudalism was also one of the reason behind the behind the defeat of Rajputs. How, as I mentioned you, what is feudalism? Feudalism is a system in which people maintain the people. They are given the land and they held the war. They held the rulers by fighting the war. So ultimately the Rajput rulers don't have this long standing army which they can use in terms especially in during the time of emergency. They were dependent on the feudal lords, so this is also one of the reason behind their defeat. See, casteism present in India also had it had an impact, because the casteism weakened the Rajput society, and not only Rajput society but the whole society. And we have seen its impact. We have seen how casteism had destroyed the unity in India. Because if you will see, during this time the casteism was so strong, it was having a strong roots in India, and the people were especially the warriors, the Kshatriyas were the warriors, and these Rajput rulers were also belongs to this caste, so they were having the responsibility of fighting the war. And ultimately the other caste people like your Brahmins or the Shudras or the other caste, they were just acting as a spectator. So society was not fighting unitedly. Only one section of the society was fighting the war, and this proved a great fault on the part of Indian rulers. And finally, the religious zeal of Muslim rulers that had strengthened them, that has made them very strong. I told you that Islam had played a prominent role in the unification of these tribes, and because of this unification and unity, they were able to rise into a powerful kingdom, and they were able to establish not only establish a strong kingdom but also to expand their control over the different parts of the world. Now, if we compare Muhammad of Ghori and Muhammad of Ghazni, the biggest difference is that Muhammad of Ghazni, he was interested only in the wealth of India. He was not interested to build his empire in India. But Muhammad Ghori wants to extend his empire, wants to build an empire in India. And this is the major difference between the two foreign Turkish invaders. Now, if you will see this chapter, it is the Turkish invasion. It is a turning point in the history of India, because it marked the beginning of Muslim rule in India. Now it paved the way for further invasions, and also for next 300 years India was ruled by the Muslim rulers, the sultans of India. And so the chapter is over. Thank you. If there is any problem, please mention in the comment. I am giving you the question answers also. Please go through it.